In this video, I'm going to bring top 5 watercolor mistakes which generally I see the beginner makes. I'm going to call out what all those 5 mistakes are and how you can just fix this. Watch this video entirely. So number one mistake I see in many watercolor beginners is whenever they plan to paint a tree, they literally they just do something like this. They will paint each leaf like this. Okay, I mean, I have seen in my workshop and many of the beginners, I have seen the way they work. uh, this is typically they just work something like this. Okay, so what happens is when you do like all the beginners, when they plan to do something like this, they are making sure that I should capture every bunch of those leaves. I'll tell you the problem. The problem here is when you paint something like this, you see all of these looks like a one bunch of thing, like you call it tree or you call it leaf or whatever it is. But the problem here is you're just trying to give each leaf full attention. You're making sure that each of your leaves should look like the leaf, and that is how you perceive, or your viewers perceive this. uh, but this is not how it works basically. Okay, the number one, the problem I just told you is this. So the mistake number two I see in this one is the color is used here is entirely one color, right? It's just like I've taken this sap green, and you see fairly, even you just look at your artwork or any beginners, they just take a color and just use one single color to complete this entire painting. uh, that's fine, but you understood, right? Because you perceive, you look at, whenever you look at the tree, you perceive that okay, the tree is green or whatever. I mean, any specific color, let's say if it is a red or if it is a yellow, whatever it is, then you'll just paint the exactly one single color. But this is not how it works. You need to have a variation of color, which I'll talk about here in this section. But yeah, I mean, this is the second problem I see. The third mistake I see here is, are you able to find out? The third problem in this is the one single tonal value. Can you see this? The amount of the color which is being taken here and here, it's exactly the same. Value is same. The tonal value is same everywhere, right from top to bottom, right? And this is not how it works. Even in a real life, if you look at your surrounding and look at your any tree you look at right now and observe carefully, you see, depending on the time you are seeing the tree, you'll see like the softness in one side or darkness in another side. It all depends on which side is the light is coming from, what kind of light is coming, what kind of the texture of that tree is, what kind of tree it is. Everything is a part of this, right? And you need to understand this. You need to bring that up here, right? Which is not reflecting here. That's the mistake I see in this one. The fourth problem, the mistake I see here is there is no back layers. You see here, we have something here. We just try to have it, but most of the beginners, you see the tree, it's covered entirely, like how you see, to give you a better understanding, everything is covered. Everything is covered like this. Okay, there is no any visible layers like your previous layer. Like if you are doing your second layer, or even if it is a first layer, your layers is not visible. Like in this example I have did it, but I see most of the beginners, they completely ignore that. You will be asking why do we need that? Why we need to have some gap? Why we need to have my back layer should be visible? So the reason is, the moment you leave these back layers visible, it brings the contrast, it brings the life in it. And I like exactly, I will show you here how what I'm just trying to explain here. And the last fifth problem I see here is the context. There is no context. It's just like you just made a, I mean, if you have just creating for the practice purpose, then it's fine. I mean, you're just practicing. That's why I've just kept it as a number 5. But that also makes a lot of difference, because you need to have a context. Otherwise, your artwork will look very standalone. You need to add some other elements here, so you complete the painting. Your painting will look like a one package. Having that context is also very important, because you will understand these tree, if it is near to your eyes, so what is the contrast ratio you should have, the tree which is far distance or probably behind this tree, so what is the pigment of that tree would be. So negotiating and understanding the various tonal value and the pigment, the values, is so important to have those context around that. So that is something like you need to practice a lot in this. If you just practice having a tree here in a one tree like this, then I'm sure after some period of time, so you will get it right. But when it comes to the actual painting, you'll be lost, and you'll say, oh, I was doing my practice work, it is fine, now I'm just doing it completely ruining my artwork. So it's always good to have your context surrounding that, so that would be really helpful. Have you ever felt stuck with your watercolor progress? That's exactly why I have created my Patreon watercolor art community. Inside, you will find a step-by-step learning journey, carefully designed to accelerate your growth week by week. This is not a random content, it's a proven roadmap where you will always know what to focus on, how to practice, and how to apply each lesson to your own art. And that's the best part. You will be learning alongside a global community of artists, sharing your progresses, asking questions, and celebrating growth together. So if you are serious about improving your watercolor skill, this is the fastest and most inspiring way forward. Join today and begin your structured journey to becoming the watercolor artist you have always wanted to be. All right, now let's look at the solutioning part, right? When we start watercolor tree, painting any kind of a tree, the first thing is you need to understand what kind of a tree it is, or where the light is coming from. Let's say if the light is coming from this side, right? So what is the tonal value would be here? What kind of a tonal value would be here? So those values are so important, and you need to decide right from the beginning itself, right? So let's go ahead. So what I'll do is, as I said, this color, we have seen that we have used one single color to represent this entire tree. This is not how it works. We need to have a variation into our subject. So let's say the upper section, and another part is when you are taking the brush, I'll just try to have something like this, so if it's just a scratching, okay, scratching. So what happens is, if I do something like this, you'll have some space left here in between, okay? And once you have something like this, I will go ahead with some other color tonal value. So I'm going to take a sap green, what barely we use it now. This is the way I'm just trying to explain you how you can just use it. So I'll just use this color. I'm just adding some bit of this sap green and yellow ochre together, and trying to get the lighter pigment of this, okay? So once we have something like this, we can go ahead and have multiple color. Like in this example, I'm just going to take this ultramarine blue as well. So we have a variation of color into this, and not just a limited color. The reason I'm just using it here, this particular color, because I see the light is coming from this side, so we'll have a more light here, and this side will be a little darker. So that's the good way to we can make something like this, right? And I'll leave some, if there is some branches, I'll leave that you know, right here itself. I'll not paint that. Okay, and now see how light it is. Okay, now once I'm going down, okay, so I will add slightly. I will not go ahead exactly the same green. Okay, I will not take the exactly the same value or the pigment, the contrast of that pigment. I will reduce, either I will just mix it with some other color like how I have used it here. I'm just using the sap green and mixing with ultramarine blue and making things a little more like this. So it's never going to be exact the green. Okay, it's never going to be exact the green. It will have only when we need it. I will need it only when I want that way. Okay, so I'll just do something like this. Now this side is mostly like light is coming from light is coming this direction, so I'll just use this more like this color, the lighter yellowish kind of feel into this, because this side will be more like a darker lighter, and this side will be more darker. So I'm using the ultramarine blue more and making things slightly darker here, because that's the place where you need to have more darker pigments here in this. So I'll be taking the fullest, the most darkest pigment here, somewhere here and here, to bring the the masses of the tree leaves. So I'm not going to paint exactly the same way the tree is. I'm not going to paint all the leaf here. It's just some idea, just representative idea that okay, so this is how tree looks, and their shades are something like this. Okay, so now you see guys how I'm just doing it here, somewhere wherever it is possible. I'm just trying to make things slightly darker here and there. Okay, not too much. If I'm just working out here on upper section, I'm just making sure that my color should be lighter, because the upper section will be more like a lighter section. Okay, now you just saw, can you see the difference between these two? Okay, how this tree came up, the first layer excuse me, and how I mean, now we have left with the branches. So the branches is I will just take this burnt sienna here, very lighter pigment of that, and I'll make sure that it should touches this, and I'll make some lighter pigment here, because this side the light is again, it is coming here. I'm just leaving some like lighter pigments in this section, and these are the tree, the branches, something like this we can just bring in here. It all depends on how you wanted to bring your context, which is basically this is what it is missing here in this section, right? So I'm just trying to make things more darker in this section. Okay, and now we have under the tree we have some more bushes and some more grass and the grounds like that, and we need to paint have some context around that part, right? Now probably we can have the lighter section. Okay, this side we will have some shades, which is basically, it is, if the light is coming from here, so mostly like these shades will be in this direction. Okay, So this is how basically it goes. We can also bring some more context into it. Probably you can paint the behind the tree also we can just make another tree. So let's say this one we have I'm just showing you this in a very simple method for you to understand this entire concept. So I'm just using this slightly darker pigment here. Still it's so wet, and I'm just applying the more like a darker pigments here in this section. Okay, so what it does is if you just apply this kind of small darker pigments, it shows it's the value that okay, this is under this there are so many the grounds and the shades are there. So we can also paint something like we have, let's imagine that there is a table, and on the table a couple of people are just enjoying their time, relaxing. This is the context I'm just setting up here. So let's imagine that there's a couple of, so you can just paint it whatever the way you want. I'm just trying to give an idea that how it should be. Maybe there's a couple of people here just came here, and maybe the morning walk, and they got tired, and they're just sitting here on this table having their just chit chat. Okay, so you can just paint anything. Maybe you got another guy here who is just standing here. Okay, I'm just I'm just trying to add some context here because it's an interesting way to add the context and having a good time with watercolor basically. I'll just add their faces, something like that. So you can just make anything, you just make it here. Maybe he's just anything you feel like whatever the context is basically is setting more importance to you, so that you can just do it. You can do so many things here, whatever you want. Okay, so this is the basically the difference between this. So still there's a few more strokes required because this is the first layer. I would suggest you to let it dry because we have already done some bit of a wet on wet. Now we need to work on the wet on dry. So for that we need to allow this to get completely dry before we move for the another layering, right? Okay, now you see this is completely dried, and now we have to do some subtle the brush patches here and there as a part of the layer 2, and if it just like you have seen here, so there is no layering techniques being used here into this, and mostly you see what generally the beginners are doing is they just take some like this, something like this. They will and they will just do something like this, exactly the same thing. They just wanted to paint each of these leaves like this, fairly they something like this they're doing it, and that creates a lot of see, the thing is like their intent is good. They just wanted to paint the way they have seen, they're perceiving the subject, but the problem here is the execution is not right. Okay, so this is not the right way to execute the things, right? So you see that most of the time, so this is how things are, you see in their artwork. Okay, now how it can be done, how it should be done is, even if you're just applying your second layer, since we know that this is the upper section is the lighter, the light is so prominent here, so we need to go with the same concept here, the lighter pigment this time. Okay, don't take so much of water, just reduce the amount, just have a very minimum, and if you have, just remove it, just mop this up here on this section, and you can just make some just kind of a very small texture here like this, just touch up here and there. So the idea here is you should have patches, visible patches. Now don't go exactly the way the tree looks, you just make the color slightly off. Okay, so I've just taken this color, this is again the same thing, but I've just taken a slightly darker pigment of this, and I'm just trying to make things something like this, some patches here and there, slightly darker patch, lighter patch, something like this. Okay, something like this. This side will be more darker because when you are just applying this darker, make sure that it should be like a bunch. Once you have done this, now leave this section untouched. Now start working on here like this. So you need to have some darker pigments here, and just another patch in this section like this. Okay, something like this. Now I'm just adding slightly darker pigments here in this section because we need that, the darker pigments in this section. Okay, now see that mostly these things will be mostly will be darker pigments, but try to leave your first layer visible. Do not just paint all over the place. Okay, it's very important, your first layer should be visible. Don't work everywhere. If I'll just paint everywhere here, I'll just overlap this entire thing, it'll finish. I mean, it won't look good, it won't look good at all. So just make sure that you should have the proper these strokes, just making sure that it should have a proper amount of depth and light. So bringing the depth and depth, basically you need to have certain amount of darker pigments here and there, and that allows you to to get the kind of the pigment, or the value you wanted to have in your artwork. Sometimes you need to just touched it, just like this, some bigger patches here and there, some bigger patches, something like this, and you can mop sometimes you can just mop it also, something like this. So you can just do some more experiments, something like this. Okay, having some more darker pigments, some some texture, etc. You can just bring every possible things you can just bring in here. I want to make this here very dark here because that's a very dense the bunch of the tree, the leaves are here. So, and I don't want to make just like a bunch of this tree in a brush strokes. I just wanted to have an idea that okay, this is how it is, and this is basically, it represents something like this. Okay, so that brings the lot of interest in your artwork, like how you see here. I'm just making these branches, just making sure that the light is, since the light is coming here, so this side will be more like a darker pigments in this section. Let's see. So this section will be more like a dark, very dark. I'm never afraid to use the darker shades or darker patches, the strokes we're talking about like this. These are the beautiful. It will help you to improve your confidence as well, because making a certain amount of work or certain amount of the kind of a texture you wanted to get it, or whatever you wanted to express it, it will sometimes, it requires your courage to apply that, because you will feel like if you're just doing something, like if I'll do something and if I'll make some mistake here, things will not look good, or it will spoil your entire artwork. So how to do that? So in that perspective, it's very important to make some, try to learn how to make their confident brush strokes, and that would be really it will be really helpful for you, right? So now I'm just working on these human figures. They're just enjoying their time here. They're just having their conversation and etc. Okay, something like this. So basically what it does is you are actually adding a context around that. It's not just a simple like a tree. You are adding some interesting point where things are like these people are here, they're just having a discussion. These are one of the ideas. You can just make a several other thing in your artwork. So this is what I just wanted to bring in here. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, I'm inviting you to join my watercolor art community. This community where you want to be, because you will be meeting a similar mindset of people and the same values and the same vision what you have, and you will also have a very structured watercolor learning week by week. So I'm inviting you to join this global watercolor art community, and I'm sure you're going to like it. And I'll see you next video very soon. You can watch this particular video for you, and if you wanted to be part of this Patreon watercolor art community, you can join this community clicking on this. Thank you so much, and have a great day.